Hello, welcome back. It's been a while, hasn't it? Yep. We're not going to talk about that, okay? We're focusing on the present. We're in it now. We're in it now and we're in it together, okay? And it's Pride Month, so I'm going to be recommending books that you can read. But whenever I watch these videos, I notice that everyone always recommends the same books over and over again. We have Red, White, and Royal Blue. We have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. We have Six of Crows for some reason. I think everyone just wants another excuse to mention Six of Crows. But I'm going to be talking about some books that are a little bit more obscure. Some of them are more popular, and I just really want to talk about them. And some of them I haven't heard ever mentioned. So we're going to be going through those. It's going to be fun. Just hang out with me while I talk about them. Now, where would I be on Earth without Alice Oseman? This is a very good question, and we must think about it. Alice Oseman writes incredible books, and they have so much representation in them. There's Radio Silence, which follows a girl named Frances, and it explores public education systems and podcasts. And Frances is a biracial, bisexual main character. Her best friend, Aled, is demisexual. There's another character named Daniel who is gay. There's Karis, who's a lesbian. It's so much representation in this one book. I'm not going to be mentioning Solitaire since I don't like it that much. I Was Born for This. You follow two main characters. It follows boy bands and trying to find yourself and what really matters in life. We have Jimmy as one of the main characters, and he is a biracial trans gay man. And there's also Lister, who's bisexual. There's Bliss, who is bisexual. I love all of these characters so much. And of course, tied for my favorite book of all time, we have Loveless, which of course follows the aromantic, asexual protagonist Georgia, her pansexual roommate Rooney, her best friend Pip, who's a lesbian. There's also a non-binary character in here. They're really lovely books. They feel very authentic. They feel like a warm hug. They have the best friendship groups, and I recommend that you read every single one of them right now. She also has the majorly popular Heartstopper series, which is turning into a Netflix show, and I highly recommend you read and watch that when it comes out. But it's just way too popular to mention in this video. They're also not my favorite things ever. I think her novels are stronger. Next, I want to talk about another author, and that is Patrick Ness. I hear a lot of people talking about A Monster Calls, which is a wonderful book, but he also has some other great books that have some great queer representation. I've only read two others. I read More Than This, which is a very heavy sci-fi, which follows this boy named Seth after he dies. So that it's really interesting. That's all I should tell you, because the rest of it's better just going blind. And then there is Release, which was just such a beautiful and emotional read. Patrick Ness has such a wonderful writing style that it's so intense and emotional. And I don't know how to describe it. It's just so perfect. You need to read it. He's so good at writing. I can't even. But the main part follows this other boy. It's a coming of age story. It all takes place during one day. It follows friendship, loneliness, love, and just acceptance. So many good themes, and you definitely should go read a Patrick Ness book if you haven't before. So next I want to talk about a book I've never heard mentioned before, and it's definitely the weirdest book that I've ever read, and it's called The Devourers by Indra Das. It has a beautiful cover, and it is a literary werewolf story. It follows this professor, and he gets approached by this man in a bar who tells him he's a werewolf, and he gives him this story to I can't think of the word, transcribe, and that's all I'm gonna tell you. I highly recommend reading this because it's so weird, but it's so stunning, and the story is so it's intense at times, and the writing is beautiful, but it's so pure in a way, but not really, but that's the only way I know how to describe it. It was a time. It was a time. It kept my attention the whole time. I had no idea where it was going, but I was very happy with the way it ended. So, read that one. Next is a young adult book that is one of my best friend's favorite books, and it is Quiver. It is it by Julia Watts. It follows two girls. One of them is in a very religious household. They're homeschooled. They don't go anywhere except for church. There's 7 children. And then the other one is this girl in a very liberal family. They're all vegetarian. She cuts her hair short and dyes it. And they move next to each other. I don't remember the girls' names. I read this like a year ago. And it basically follows this one girl. Actually, no, I do remember her name. It's Libby. It's short for Liberty. And Libby is learning about the ways that her family might be a bit dysfunctional because of their religious beliefs that are doing bad things, both mentally and physically, in her pregnant mother's case. So, it was a very interesting read, a very quick read. I was somehow very entertained, and it was very serious subject matter, but it was handled very, very sensitively and very well, I feel like. It was a very, very solid book. So, definitely go read that. Next, I have Memorial by Brian Washington, which just follows these two men who are in a relationship, and it is just not working out. Just at all. Not, and that's the book. It was really interesting. You really get to know these two characters. Not to spoil anything, but it does have a bit of an open ending. And a lot of people didn't like that, but I really liked it because you get to make your own interpretations of things. And I really like that in the book. I enjoy open endings. I enjoy the endings that a lot of other people hate. So that's the only caution going into this book. Now, we can't go through a video without me mentioning Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This is the book that is tied for my favorite book of all time. It's just incredible. As for LGBTQ representation, well, there's not a ton. But I just need an excuse to mention this book. The main character, Victor Vale, is canonically asexual. Now, is it good representation? No, not at all. In fact, I didn't even know that he was asexual until I read it online, and Victoria Schwab confirmed it. But I didn't know by reading these books. It's really not good rep. I mean, you could also make a case for, Victor and Eli, but that's subjective. Now, this next book is what I call If Victor and Eli Were in a Relationship, and it's called The Monster of Ellenhaven. And it is, oh my god, it's so good. It was a 5-star read for me, and I hardly ever give out 5 stars. It was just one of the best written story, character, relationship books ever. I think I just mentioned all of the concepts of writing. It was just so good. It follows this monster named Johann, and he just basically goes around killing people since he's a despicable dude. And he has to team up with this dude named Florian to create a bunch of chaos. And it is first of all, very gross, disgustingly gory book. It's very bloody, very, graphic in the blood area. Yeah, it's very gory and very graphic with its gore, I feel like. But in a very beautiful and aesthetically pleasing way. It's a very aesthetically pleasing book. I don't know when it takes place, but it's I always imagine it somewhere in the late 1800s. in like England, like, you know, that Industrial Revolution vibe. It's that. It's that. It's, yeah. You know what I'm talking about? And it is a great book, and it is great, and you should read it. But, you know, if you don't like gore, then don't read it. But if you do, and if you're open to weird stuff, right now, go check it out. Next, I would like to recommend one of the most underrated young adult books ever, called Just Kill Me by Adam Selzer. This is like one of the most relatable characters I've ever read. The main character's name is Megan, and she is just really, like, she was really relatable to me personally, as just like a kind of a person that's just weird, or like was described as weird as a kid, so you've kind of just accepted that as yourself. She lives in a funeral home. She works at a ghost tour. That's kind of the whole plot of the book. It gets weird. Like, it starts off as this normal story of, oh, I'm working on the ghost tour, and we have to, like, save the ghost tour from being shut down. But it gets really weird. It goes down murderous routes, but you don't know if it's murder or not. You don't really know what's happening at all. Are ghosts real? Is it just a business scheme? Yeah, it's really great. And the main character is bisexual, so I feel like this video was just an excuse to mention it, because I love this book, and you really need to read it. The next book is a book called Annie in My Mind by Nancy Gargan, and it's just a very, very simple young adult romance between two girls. It is the most, like, innocent book I've ever read. It's really fluffy and really cute, and there's really nothing to say about it but that, because it's just very simple, and if you're looking for something like that, it's perfect. So, I feel like I've been ending all of these, but go read it. So go, read it. The next book isn't like a novel or anything, but it's a poetry collection. It's When the World Didn't End by Caroline Kaufman. And it just, it's a really good poetry collection. She has another one too, called Light Filters In, and they're both really pretty and really, really good. It's like modern poetry, but it's not the same as like Amanda Lovelace, or I forget her name, but she wrote Milk and Honey. Wait, now, sorry, this is annoying me that I'm blanking on the name. But it's really, like, it doesn't feel as, like, pretentious as that, not to cause any, I don't know, drama in the poetry community, but it's said multiple times. I like it a lot more, because it just feels a lot more personal, a lot more poetic, and it's still very simplistic, but I almost call it, like, young adult poetry, because of how, like, aimed at teenagers, I feel like it is, because it's documenting her as a teenager going through identity problems, falling in love with her best friend. Mental health is a huge part of this one, and even more so Light Filters In. And, like, being in toxic or abusive relationships. It follows a lot of topics, and she's just really, really good at poetry. So I definitely recommend. And I will always recommend Caroline Kaufman's poetry. Okay, that ended very weirdly. And I think I have a couple more. Yes. So next is another book that is one of my best friend's favorites. And this one I also adore. It's also very pure. It's also very innocent. But it also has a lot more darker undertones. It's just written in this very simple and innocent way. But the content is not. and it is called Lost in the Beehive by Michelle Young Stone. And it is about this girl. It's historical fiction, but I don't exactly know when it takes place. And it starts with her going to conversion therapy, and then it just follows her life from there and everything she goes through. And that's all you should know going into it, because anything else is just would not get the emotional impact, because this book is also written just so beautifully, so lyrically, and I stayed up all night reading it. That's an exaggeration. I I just stayed up until I finished it. And it was really good, and I really, really think you should read it. And lastly, I'm grouping these books together because they're oddly similar in like premise wise, and that is You Exist Too Much by Zaina Afrafat and Milkfed by Melissa Broder. And they both follow bisexual girls going through identity problems within their culture. Um, and they also both are either recovering from or dealing with an eating disorder, and also have mommy issues. Like, these main characters are, like, really, really similar. But they're both very, like, distinct books. In You Exist Too Much, the main character is dealing with a love addiction, and it follows her in many different romantic relationships, like many different ones, and how she's grown from that and how it affects her mental health. And Milkfed follows this girl that mainly has an eating disorder, and she is trying to deal with that, and she gets into a relationship with this girl who works at her favorite frozen yogurt place, and it kind of disrupts both of their lives. It is not a very good relationship, but it's not supposed to be, because it's literary fiction, and we all know there's nothing that's not messy when it comes to literary fiction. So, those are the last two books. I don't know how to segue out of this. My transitions in this video are very nice. It's been like 15 years since I've sat in front of this door. I hope you have a nice day. Had a nice day. Just said that. Yeah, okay. Bye.